Hey guys, welcome back. So today I want to talk a little bit more about my use of Wolf ammunition. I see a lot of discussions on the internet centering around the use of Wolf ammo and a lot of experiences being talked about that don't necessarily mirror my own experiences with a wide variety of rifles. So let's get started and I'll talk a little bit more about Wolf ammo. One of the comments I see quite often is that Wolf ammunition is corrosive, and it's not corrosive. The rifle that I have here is my FN SCAR. It's one of the rifles that I used in my comparison video, the SCAR versus the ACR. In that video, I probably fired several thousand rounds anyway through the test rifles, including this rifle that you see here. Now this rifle's been sitting in my gun safe now for about 3 months. And of course I haven't cleaned the rifle since I started the testing. Here's the bolt and carrier. I don't see any rust on the bolt or carrier. It's dirty, but no rust. There's no rust anywhere on the rifle. I haven't found any of my rifles rusting after the use of Wolf ammunition. If it was corrosive, I should have a safe full of rusted firearms because I'm really bad about cleaning my rifles, and I don't. One of the most common complaints I see people making about Wolf ammunition is that it doesn't work for them in their rifles. That doesn't mirror my own experiences with a wide variety of different military style rifles. Now that's not to say that some people don't have issues with Wolf 5.56 or 223 ammo in their AR-15 or whatever rifle they're shooting it through. I do realize that malfunctions do occur, but then again, not all rifles are made the same. I have several rifles out here with me this afternoon that I want to demonstrate how they work with Wolf ammunition. First of all, I have an FS 2000, have a SCAR 16S, a Bushmaster ACR, and a Windham Weaponry MPC M4 clone AR-15. I'm going to fire 3 magazines through each of these rifles to demonstrate how they work past 20 rounds, 30 rounds, 40 rounds, 60 rounds, all the way to 90 rounds. Some people again claim that if they shoot 40 rounds of Wolf through their rifle that all of a sudden it'll malfunction, they'll get a stuck case or some sort of malfunction. Again, that doesn't mirror my own experiences. Now, the magazines I'm going to use some different magazines. First of all, I have a TSD Combat Systems magazine. This is also the same as a Lancer 5. I have a regular run-of-the-mill PMag, and then a standard GI Contract magazine. I'm going to fire all these magazines through each of these rifles with the exception of the FS 2000, which I will only use GI Contract mags in because it does not like polymer magazines. So let's get started with our testing. Before we get started, I want to mention that each of the rifles out here are chambered for the 5.56 cartridge and feature chrome-lined barrels and chambers. First up is the Windham Weaponry AR. I'm going to use a Contract GI 30-round magazine. Let's fire off our first 30 rounds. Next, we have the TSD Combat Systems magazine. Another 30 rounds. Next, we have the PMag. No malfunctions. Next up is the Bushmaster ACR with a GI magazine. Next is the TSD Combat Systems magazine. Last but not least, the PMag. Again, no malfunctions. That thing is hot. Next, we have the FN SCAR 16S and a USGI 30-round magazine. Next, the TSD Combat Systems. And then the PMAG. Again, no malfunctions. Next up is the FS2000. Now remember folks, this rifle does not like polymer magazines, so we're just going to use steel or aluminum USGI 30-round magazines. Again, no malfunctions. This pile of empty boxes represents the ammo that we fired out here this afternoon. Almost 500 rounds of ammo was fired in the testing of the 4 rifles. We only brought out 500 rounds of ammo. Now there are some things to remember when you're using steel-cased ammunition. First of all, steel does run dirtier than brass. By that I mean the steel doesn't form to the chamber walls like brass does when you fire it. That allows gases to blow by the casing into the action of the rifle. It will also deposit carbon in the chamber of the rifle. So if you fire 500 rounds of steel ammo through your rifle, don't clean it, then feed it brass, you can actually get the brass casings to stick in the chamber. As a general rule, you should clean your rifle after firing Wolf or any ammo, really, but specifically if you're shooting steel-cased ammo and then transitioning over to brass. Now you'll notice I had no malfunctions out here this afternoon with the 4 test rifles. These rifles are 5.56 caliber. If you have a rifle that has a match .223 chamber, that chamber is tighter than a military spec chamber, you might have some problems with steel. You don't want to increase the friction in the chamber. These rifles are also chrome lined. The chrome actually aids in extraction of the casing once it's fired. If you have a non-chrome chamber, you may have some problems with Wolf or steel-cased ammo in general. Overall though, I can't remember the last time I had to clear a malfunction from one of my rifles using Wolf ammunition, and I've never really had a stuck case that I can remember. In the last 10 years, I can't remember ever pounding out a stuck case of any of my rifles using Wolf ammunition. Not only do I shoot steel through my rifles, but I also shoot it through my handguns. Here's some 9mm steel-cased Wolf ammo. I'm going to fire it through my Glock 17. I have 4 magazines here. It's me hitting the slide stop with my thumb. No malfunctions? Works great. One of the comments I always read is that Wolf isn't necessarily as accurate as other ammo on the market. Now I will concede that Wolf ammo isn't match ammunition. It's not designed to be. But what I've found in my testing and shooting it quite a bit over the last few years is that it usually mirrors the performance of things like M193 ball. Let's do a little bit of testing here this afternoon. Let's put 5 rounds of Wolf through the rifle at 100 yards, and we'll put 5 rounds of M193 ball through the rifle and see how they stack up to each other in terms of the size of the group. Let's run down range and see how the Wolf did. Here's the first 5-shot group we fired out here this afternoon with the Wolf 55 grain ammo. Center to center, it measures 1.5 inches. That's typical performance out of Wolf ammunition in my experience, out of an AR-15 or a rifle similar to that. Next, we're going to fire 5 rounds of M193 Federal ball ammo. This is military spec ammunition in 5.56. All right, let's run down range. Back down range after firing 5 rounds of the M193 Federal ammunition. Surprisingly, not really. It's a 1.5 inch group, 1.6 inches, and that's center to center. I've seen both brands of ammunition do better, and I've seen both do worse. I'm not cherry picking groups out here this afternoon. This is the first group I fired with the M193, and the last group I fired was the first group I fired with the Wolf 55 grain. The performance, in my experience, is nearly identical, even has practically the same point of impact. I shoot Wolf ammunition because it costs half as much as 5.56 surplus ammo out there on the marketplace. That's what it boils down to. I have found in my testing over the last couple of decades of using the ammunition that it performs very well. I don't sit out here all afternoon clearing malfunctions. If I did, I would be the first to abandon the ammo. But due to cost constraints and as much as I shoot, I do prefer to shoot Wolf, and I'll continue to shoot Wolf as long as it continues to perform in my firearms. Now, as you guys know, I have a wide variety of firearms. I can honestly say I've never bought a rifle that had a problem with Wolf ammo. That's not to say other people don't have problems. I do believe that they do. I do recommend Wolf ammo to people, but I also recommend that you buy 100 rounds of the ammunition before buying that case. Make sure that it works in your rifle. If you guys have any questions about anything that you've seen out here this afternoon, you can ask those questions on our Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/militaryarms. As always, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for those subs. I'll talk to you guys soon.